Okay. Screen share. You guys see that?
Yep.
Good. So obviously we're talking about attacking deep space today. It's one thing that last season we had really highs and really lows, depending on the tournament we went to and depending on the team that we played. It's just something that we definitely need to know how to do more consistently. And specifically in a vert, since we are switching our offense, we're going to have to kind of work with each other on communication and how to best do that going forward this next season. So what are we looking at? Some key points I'm gonna hit today: clearing deep space, timing, team cutting, decisive choices, keeping angles open for the thrower, and then some misdirection as well. I'm kind of going to dive into each these key points with a little video, just so that we can kind of have a visual. But when I think of how I try to attack deep space and how I've seen people that have played much longer than me and are way more efficient at it, these are kind of the points that I felt like kept replicating over and over and over. So that's what we're going to look at today. So first and foremost, clearing deep space. If you guys don't know, that's Derek. He just brightens my day, so I put him there. Anyway, so it's important to finish deep cuts with a hard clear to open up for others. I feel like we all know that, but it's harder. It's easier said than done, I guess, especially when you put in the fact that you can get tired out there, especially if you're one of the main cutters. And so what we have to just remember, especially in a vert, is since we are basically in obviously a vertical line in the middle of the field, if we don't clear that deep space, they can just poach over the top. Your guy can literally just leave you. And so it's just really important to finish deep cuts. I'm going to kind of show you just a quick little blurb of someone actually clearing out of the deep space really, really well. And it's decisive. It's not a thought. It's just in their system. This is also something that's going to be shown give me just a second here while I get this up for you. Share. All right. Can you guys see that or no? Like just my desktop?
Yeah, we're looking at it.
Sweet.
Yeah, dude, I see that folder.
You know? All right. So this is Sub-Zero versus Sockeye. Sub-Zero runs a lot of vert, or at least they did. So this is just a quick clear cut that I'm about to show you. But again, like I said before, it's just done decisively. It doesn't mess up their offense. Their defender's not able to just poach over top. This is also going to be shown in our ulti plays, which the captains have planned on releasing here in the next week or two and kind of cleaning up some stuff. But it'll kind of show just the flows of our offense, pull plays, and things like that. But just a second
But I'm
here.
sure he's more concerned about winning.
You guys see that? If you can see the guy in the back that goes deep here, he comes straight under on the break side. So as the disc got swung, and I'll come back and do it again here.
Correct.
As the disc gets swung to the middle of the field, he comes back down on the break side for that potential break look and to get his defender outside and recommitted.
Except for international play.
Show it one more time here.
But I'm sure he's more concerned about winning what I believe was his second title, even one in college or two.
Oregon never won college.
Never won. So he's never won.
It's just re-engaging your defender. So again, he can't just poach off of you and basically clog up that deep space for everyone else. We got to make sure that if we're working hard on offense, the other team has to work hard on defense as well. So that's just quick clearing deep space. That's pretty elementary. Anyone have anything for that? Anything to add? I know Stu loves to talk.
Yeah, I'll talk. I thought it was also a good clear because he could, like, with the timing of the swing and the way he had made the decision, like he recognized that guy was swinging the disc and he made his decision to clear to the break side because that's like the next open lane. Like they could have had like a 20-yard gainer on the break side if that guy just whipped a backhand out there, but
Right.
like his defender had to go. Like he couldn't just let him. Like he couldn't cast him out. He had to stay, reeled up on him because it was like a threatening spot.
Yeah.
The one thing, just to add to that, if you guys don't mind, it's
Go ahead.
just like as he's cutting, he's, and as Stu said this, but I think, just to specifically point this out, he had his eyes back on his handler. Like if you're just cutting because you're just trying to run, that's not going to work very well.
Yep, absolutely. Keeping your hips open to the throw throughout your cuts and your head on a swivel is always going to make your cuts more viable and your clears a little more dangerous as well. So the next, timing of cuts. We don't want to have a situation like this, as you can see in the picture. Knowing when it's your turn and clear that up.
That was on defense.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? I take things out of context, so it's funny for me. But anyway, timing of cuts. Stu kind of talked about this earlier, but on that clear, that guy's timing was really good for that swing of the disc. He timed even the clear to the swing of the disc. That timing is all about seeing the whole field. If you're that back of the stack or the 4 or 5, anywhere in the stack, you should be acknowledging everyone on the field, and everything's in front of you at that point. So you should be able to time your cuts pretty well. I was always taught time your cuts on claps, and now what I think is time your cuts when you know a swing's going to happen, when you know someone's going to get power position, things like that. So this next one that I'm going to bring up here, you guys can see this, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. So what we're going to look at here, it's the same game, but we're just looking at like the movement of the deep space, and then the countering on each side of the disc, and how it's swung immediately when the counter's under as well. So
Yeah, you got to mute Rose.
Rose just wants to join in.
Sorry, y'all. I just joined on my phone. My
That's your
bad.
fine. All right.
Unaffiliated completely until they came to Soccer.
Yeah, not even Northwest players. I mean, there are some
So
other
it's
Northwest players.
Pretty
like
shortly after
Jacob
the
Janin and
poll, so we'll
Joe
just watch
Freechild,
it.
Who's on Scythe.
Garrett Martin, Utah State.
Yeah. But
So
there are
pretty
players
good poll
from
here.
outside who've been drawn to Seattle. Say Carnegie and Ben Katz now on this D line. Katz getting ready to mark. 2 more examples. East Coast imports for Seattle. Bit of a different story.
This guy
for
gets the
Sub-Zero's
under,
roster
they're pushing up.
composition.
Goes deep, and it's an
Oscar
immediate open.
deep for Pope.
So
Drops in.
that's a little bit of knowing your teammates' strengths. Obviously, they've played together for a while. If you're aware of who those two are, they have played together for a while, but timing's huge here. When he gets this under
Bit of a
on the
different
4th
story for
side,
Sub-Zero's roster
he makes a
composition.
move and immediately goes deep because he knows that Oscar has that
looking
throw.
Deep for Pope.
Um,
Drops in.
It's not hesitation. and
Cousins,
there's
gets an
no one
aggressive
trying to
mark
take
from
his turn.
Jacob Janet and
Um,
Dylan Freechild.
So everyone realizes in this play that
St.
they need to
Carnegie
be
and
patient in that
Cats
stack,
now in this
because if
D-line.
someone
Cats
else
getting ready to mark
decided,
two more
hey, I want to
examples.
be that deep,
East
it would
Coast
just be
imports for
clogged.
Seattle. Bit of a different story for Sub-Zero's roster composition.
ISO'd and gone.
Oscar.
Hey, Zay, I want to add something here because this is a very
Drop
textbook
in.
play.
Yeah,
This whole sequence right here is very unique because of where the handler, the off handler starts this point. If you can just go on a freeze frame to that, I think this is the telling
Yeah.
part because what Seattle Sockeye is doing here is stopping that break. So you can see every single player on this field taking away that backhand side. And because that offhand mark guy is basically letting his defender take away the upfield, he's dropped back behind him on the break side for an easy swing around. And then number 4 right there realizes he can totally roast his guy on the break side. So this is
right.
break side swing into break side upfield into forced backhand deep and
Right.
totally messes up the defense here.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously these guys have the connection, are able to recognize that stuff, but for realizing when that disc is in the air right now, you can see him looking at that disc. He knows it's his turn to cut because 21's not getting it. He's doing the force side cut. It's for his break side. So recognizing that is so important for this play.
Right. And as you can see, he recognized it immediately off that
Bit
swing,
of a different story for Sub-Zero's roster composition.
and then he's gone.
Oscar looking deep for a vote.
So that's just a lot of timing. Obviously, at the beginning of that play, briefly, you kind of saw the clear by that guy. He kind of made in my opinion, a weaker move in that lane. But even though he knew he was getting locked up, like he made sure his guy was engaged with him when he cleared to the stack. So that's something that I thought was really important. Making sure that you are clearing, even if your move's weak, even if you're tired. But the main thing on that play is that timing, and just being confident in your move as well. So team cutting, communication between the stack made this play that I'm going to show you just work. Trusting each other's skill sets. That's a big thing with practice. I'm a big practice guy. I stress the importance of practice because it builds chemistry. And when you know, just like that previous play, when you know someone has a certain throw, you're going to be way more confident making a cut for them because you know that that could actually go up. So just trusting each other's skill sets, understanding in the stack, who's that guy to go deep. Not everyone's a deep threat. Some people are more of a, let me just grind unders all day. So this next clip here, just a
Adventure
second.
has a new look. The all-new 2022 Subaru Outback Wilderness. Nervous? Oh, Blaze. Brings back so many good memories. Remember our rep?
There's Rhino and Ring.
Take another look here.
Oh, give me just a second. I went too far.
Long. Likewise, from Leandro Marks. Taylor catches it. Hayes drifts in for the mark as Taylor gets rid of it.
All right, he's going to swing.
See Rhino really overplaying.
And if you just watch the back, they communicate. Yeah, I'm going to come back just
Here we go. They did
a
overplay
little
this
bit
one.
here because it's really subtle.
Over-
This guy, can you guys see my mouse? I don't know.
Yeah, we can see it.
Awesome. So this guy communicates to the back of the stack just by looking at him. And once he looks at this dude, when they kind of settle here for a second, this guy immediately floods under. I'm assuming it's because his guy's just sitting over top of him and there's this guy in the lane and they're trying to just get him engaged. But it's just subtle communication. this guy is probably a little more of a threat deep consistently than the guy that's at the back of the stack. But they just communicated that, and it worked out for him. So if you just watch this guy real quick, he's just going to glance at him real quick. So
Defense on any deep shots, allowing some underneath ones, but the disc not advancing too far. But here we go. They didn't overplay this one.
and just a little miscommunication by the defense makes that work. Again, we're not always going to have to sky everybody. Certainly we're going to have to make big plays every now and again. But just keeping your defender engaged and making them have to make decisions. This is just like textbook team cutting. Make them make decisions on whether or not they're going to have to call for a switch, whether or not they're going to have to call for a bracket, but making a decisive decision with your cutting teammate, which is that 4 and 5. And that's on that power position.
Not advancing too far, but here we go. They didn't overplay this one.
That freeze frame at 30 seconds was like perfect. You could see the defender like,
Yeah.
absolutely, like you can see right at 230. If he had that freeze, like you could just see the guy like didn't know whether he was chasing this guy deep or if he had to like poach
Right.
under. Like
Rhino really overplaying
And
defense
on this
any
next
deep
one,
shots,
like
allowing some under.
he claps and that guy is immediately going. Like on this clap, that's the importance of timing. Like you're making him decide immediately before this guy can even get over and flash. This guy's already going to put it because he's cutting on that clap. So that's again the importance of timing and communicating before that swing or that next under to get that power position comes. So that the
But
defense can't settle.
Not advancing too far, but here we go. They didn't overplay this one.
You want to talk about advancing far?
So anyone have anything else they kind of want to say about that or on to the next?
Yeah, I just want to say like, that's the cut that we want to see. And if the defense doesn't fuck up, then we might not always get the throw just because the cut is actually that good. But if we can see that consistently, we're going to catch them where they're not going to communicate the switch correctly, or their last back isn't going to be able to, have the right positioning to make that play. Especially the way that he cut towards that break side, so that the handler could put the flick going through the outside in lane, but towards that break side. There's just no way that anyone's catching up that space. It allows for a little bit of error from the handler too. So like there's just so much space there that's a great look. It's not always going to be that great of a look, but if we cut consistently like that, we're going to see more of them than less.
Right. And a big thing is like you mentioned the defense has to make a decision. Like in that play, there's a lot of times where the defense is almost going to concede that under instead. Like they're not always going to make the mistake to not cover that deep look or hesitate on that deep look. Sometimes they're going to just sit on that deep look and that under's free. So that's something as well. That's the importance of that guy that went under. He went under hard. He went under like he wanted the disc because that's a real cut. So it's not always going to be cutting for the deep space, even though this is obviously about the presentation, but that under's viable as well. So, all righty. So decisive choices. Just in the other clips I just showed you, again, there's no hesitation in what they're doing. They're just cutting as hard as possible in their system. Their system's really oriented on timing. So on those claps, on those swings, they're making a move and they're not hesitating on them either. There's communication while they're in the stack so that they don't have to guess who's next. So again, partner cutting, making decision with your partner before it's your time is going to make that easier for all of us. And that's something that we're going to have to practice as well. So
You gotta tell people that Liberty Mutual customizes car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
sheesh,
You gotta do it
getting mad
fast.
every time.
Woo! New personal record.
Only pay for what you need. Liberty, 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 liberty.
That disc, they've got 20 seconds once that disc stops play in the back to.
Oh, hold on.
I'll tell you what.
We'll see our boy here for a second.
That was a great one.
That's our boy.
Going to be starting on the offensive
Ian.
line.
I don't know if he's in here, but
On the receiving end is Rhino's signature puller, Ian Sweeney. Although he opts to let that one hit out the back. We'll let Scyther.
Rhino
Take
may
first
need
touch.
to set up some guys in the back of that end zone to help field that disc. They've got 20 seconds once that disc stops play in the back to.
so what I want us to realize on this is sometimes deep cuts are going to come from not just the back of the stack. Sometimes maybe a handler is going to wheel out. Sometimes maybe like the one will wheel out. It just kind of depends on what we're doing, whether it's a pull play or whether that one or that handler just feels like they have that matchup. And so it's also recognizing again what's in front of you. And so you're going to kind of see the guy in the back of the stack during this play is recognizing that someone is going to be cutting deep from in front of him. So he's actually going to come under on this and allow that deep space not to be poached. So
I'll tell you what, it's a thrower. I do not like being rushed.
this guy
before my
right here,
first throw.
and he comes under.
Eli Freeman rushing towards the end zone. Davis chasing, but the convoy behind him can't.
That disc,
So
they've got 20
again-
seconds once that disc stops play in the back to.
This guy comes under.
I'll tell you what,
It's a
it's thrower. I
disc
do not
on
like
that
being
clap.
rushed
This guy makes a
before
move,
my first throw.
and the back of
Eli
the stack
Freeman
recognizes
rushing towards the
he
end
has
zone.
some
Davis
leverage
chasing,
and goes deep instead.
but the convoy behind him can't make the play.
And I think that's going to be pretty important for us because we do have some people that might not be in that 4 and 5 position super often, but can definitely make an impact, kind of wheeling deep and using someone that's maybe a handler or a weaker defender deep to actually get that matchup going deep for us. So I'll kind of show that again, but just the recognition and that partner cutting, making a decisive decision of someone's cutting before me, even though it's my turn in the back, but I need to cut under so that we can potentially get a look out of this.
Opportunity from Rafi Hayes.
Rhino may
First
need
touch.
to set up some guys in the back of that end zone to help field that disc. They've got 20 seconds once that disc stops play in the back to bring it in.
I'll tell you what, it's a thrower. I do not like being rushed before my first throw. Eli Freeman rushing towards the end zone. Davis chasing.
And one thing I did write on this, one thing I did notice is that guy in the back of the stack on this, he did hesitate just a little bit on whether or not he wanted to go under. And it made that throw a little tighter of a window. So for me, my rule has always been when I'm running a vert, less hesitation, the better. Just make a move. You don't need to keep dancing, just make a move.
Hey, Isaiah.
Press your initial move. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just actually about to talk about that guy. I think what he did there, and maybe this was unintentional, like you're saying, maybe he hesitated, but if he was really high IQ there, what he might have seen is as that cut's developing, his guy is starting to maybe think about trying to help the deep, knowing that the under is getting burned, or the guy who's underneath him, is getting burned. So what he might have been doing there is actually like letting his guy, his teammate run past him so that he clears his level, knowing that his defender's off of him now, and then he can take that easy free under, which, he doesn't know at that point if the huck's up, maybe.
Right.
So
Yeah,
like you'll
absolutely.
see, I mean, it is like a throw into triple coverage, which is just a really damn good throw. But he would have had that free under. Then, and the other thing is like all these cuts, when we talk about decisiveness, is like they're all in straight lines. Like there's no banana cuts going on. So that's kind of another small side point.
Yeah. Anyone else? Dope. Alrighty. Keeping angles open. So that's one thing that I know Bowles was talking about earlier in the presentation. The guy that threw that backhand across that stack. That's the look that we're looking to do sometimes. Even that flick that kind of arched across the stack. That's really hard for a defender to catch up, let alone make a play on it. So keeping your hips open to the thrower, head on a swivel. It doesn't just help with timing, but it helps kind of let your thrower have a little more margin for error in that throw while still completing it. So we got 2 here.
Words, 12 words. Okay, we'll try. We'll see. This is a
For Simonelli,
Yeah, sub, I keep harping on it, but that counter cut across the field as they move laterally to one side.
that's not the team that we're seeing right now. It's not a team that wants to grind it out. Sub-Zero maybe lacking their identity. Charles Weinberg
You're going to see
gets it over to the break side.
it's going to go into this corner, I believe. Yeah.
Now Oscar with an away shot.
Again, it's just across the stack, keeping your head on a swivel towards where that disc is so you can make cuts that thrower wants to make. So I think everyone knows Sub-Zero loves throwing across their stack. They love throwing blades. And it's because, 70's not in a bad position to make a play here. He's in a good defensive position. That's just a really one good throw, but just a tough angle
Now
to play
Oscar
defense
with an
at.
away shot. For
So
Simonelli,
that's one thing that we're going to need to
lacking
kind of
their
practice and be
Charles
willing to
Weinberg
do as well.
gets it over to the break side for Simonelli. Now Oscar with an away shot.
Before I go on to the next one, anyone got anything on this?
Yeah, cut for that.
Yeah, I agree.
Cut for that for me for sure.
I know Bowles loves that throw. Yesterday at Luda, me, Nick, and Ty Rob were actually talking about doing just that. I know in that conversation, Nick said that's something that he loves to throw. Ty Rob loves to throw stuff like that. And we need to go towards our thrower strengths. So if they love to throw something like that, they show us that they can throw something like that. We need to keep cutting for it. And part of that is just communication with the eyes. As you can see, give me just a second here. Let me get back to it.
Andrew Roy centers up to Sheeta. Mike Caldwell called this Sub-Zero team hard-nosed on both sides of the ball. In Seattle, they like to call it the ball, not the disc. And, that's not the team that we're seeing right now. It's not a team that wants to grind it out. Sub-Zero maybe lacking their identity. Charles Weinberg.
The trash talk.
Great side for Simon.
Like right here, he's engaged. Like he knows it's about to be his turn, and they just start staring at each other for like a split second, and they recognize what they probably do at practice all the time, is make that throw. That's not a throw that defender is necessarily trying to stop. That's kind of like a dang, if they're going to do that to us, like we just got to try to close the window, I guess. They're primarily trying to stop whatever's coming on this side of the field. So
Now Oscar with an away shot
It's just tough.
for Simon.
Tough angle. I hate to be the defender personally. And then we got another here. All right, starting this point here.
Park here in San Diego. Beautiful and still for the most part. Have yet to see the wind that was a feature yesterday appear today.
And this round yesterday, round 2 in particular, was the peak of the wind.
Yeah, I mean, round 1 was exactly as it was today, comfortable, but so far, those conditions have held. Do you think that favors one of these teams? Do you think one of these teams might be better in the wind than the other?
I think they both love their high degree of difficulty throws and would be a little reticent to let go of them. So
Free Child crossing over to match up with Oscar, but that doesn't.
So like again, this guy is an extremely good defender. If you guys know Scythe, super good defender, especially deep. I mean, that throw is like pretty ridiculous. But like this guy's ready for it. Like he's looking back at the disc. He's waiting for that pump. This guy's going for a potential look as well. And they just know where they like to be. They know where their throwers like to throw. And they position themselves in that way. It immediately puts their defender on their back. So
it would be a little reticent to let go of them. So
Free Child crossing over to match up with Oscar, but that doesn't prevent Oscar from throwing another.
So again, that's just kind of another example. We got a lot of people that love their backhand. Obviously that's a pretty special throw right there. But we got a lot of people that love that backhand as well. So we got to be ready not to just keep cutting to the same foreside. We got to be looking for break throws as well. Anyone got anything for that?
Yeah. So, go ahead, Miles.
I was just gonna say the placement of where the cut is in the exact middle of the field, right? And one of the things that I think a lot of our deep cuts lacked last year and have in years past is keeping disciplined on maintaining that spacing so that wherever that throw goes, you have a really good angle of attack on it. If you are always going towards whatever cone you have like that eye contact with the thrower to, so this one would be towards that backhand cone where you're eating up the space, really going towards that sideline, that helps the defender. It makes it really hard for us as throwers to put it in a position where you're going to be able to be successful. So the fact that he maintained that middle of the field throughout his cut until he saw where the disc was up, like that's a really important part of this working out for both him and for the thrower. It gives a lot of license for the thrower to be able to put it out in front of him, really anywhere on that back line.
Yeah, battles are quick too. Like if the cut starts on the opposite side, like like siphons off on the way break side, then he can't put it out into that space that he's already occupying too. So like, I guess I agree that with like the dead middle of the field starting to give both sides as viable options, I suppose.
Awesome. That's like pretty much exactly what I was going to say.
Oh.
They practice that exact throw. Like I know for a fact in that system, the idea is to always make every deep cut vertically, if not slightly angled towards the break side. And the throwers are all trained to like throw big OIs onto that. So that's something that we can definitely take away and bring to our practices.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Dope. We'll watch it one more time just because I like it. Oh, go ahead. Whoever said that.
That was me. I just want to say that, yeah, I'm one of those guys that likes my backhand.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to throw it.
Would be a little reticent to let go of them. So
Free Child crossing over to match up with Oscar, but that doesn't prevent Oscar from throwing another fading away.
All righty. On to the next. All right, little misdirection. So this next one is a pull play with a lot of moving parts. Sometimes, like we kind of mentioned earlier, just make the defense make decisions, and then be decisive and have good timing in the decisions that you make. So keeping an angle open, like we were just talking about, making sure that you have proper spacing, things like that. But this one's from one sideline to the other, similar to the one that we just watched. So.
If tuna is one of the healthiest
That's
and leanest
super
protein you
gross.
can eat, then why aren't we eating more of it? We'll tell you exactly.
Big yikes.
Yeah, that's super gross.
Turnover sometimes for it to be worth it. All it takes is one player to miscalculate on exactly where that open window
Get
is.
a little flood.
So far, calculations on point.
And you
for
see
Ring of
this
Fire.
guy in the back.
Deep
And the
shot
defense just
from
has no clue what
Rhino,
happened.
and one good blown coverage deserves another.
They don't get the score, obviously.
But that lack
No.
of coverage can't keep the
Yeah,
disc
it's
in
pretty
bounds.
tragic.
But that lack of coverage can't keep the disc in back. Turnover
But
sometimes for it to be worth
again,
it.
just a
All
little
it takes is one
misdirection.
player to
Pretty
miscalculate
elementary
on exactly
flood
where that open window
comes
is.
out of this.
So far,
And they just don't get their
calculations
matchups.
for
You
Ring
see
of
two
Fire.
people went to the one flood. So,
Deep shot from Rhino, and one
and he just
good
got
blown
space to
coverage
throw. He
deserves
just
another.
missed.
Oh,
But
So
that lack of coverage can't
that's
keep
something
the
that
disc
we're
in
going to
bounds.
be
From Rhino,
definitely
and
looking
one
at
good blown
for
coverage deserves another.
our pull
exactly where-
plays, getting some misdirection, getting some ISO looks to make the defense decide. As you can see, they didn't necessarily come down in the best man-on-man defense. They were pretty confused. Maybe they just had a miscommunication when they're counting off on the line. But needless to say, I mean, that should have been a score. I would hope we would score as well on that. So, but again,
Open window
just a
is.
quick bull
So
play,
far,
quick flood,
calculations on point.
and this guy
for Ring of Fire.
makes that cut. Even though he's on that opposite sideline, he's
Deep
not going to
shot
just stop
from
that cut.
Rhino, and
He's trusting his thrower to be comfortable enough to make that throw across basically every defender's head and everyone on the field's head. And he just commits to it. So that's the main thing that I come out of this play with is one, misdirection. Our pull plays are going to have some of that. We're going to have to make the defense think, commit to things, and try to force a mistake on their end. But two, no matter where you're at on the field, we're going to have to stay engaged with that thrower. We're going to have to trust that our throwers can make those throws and are willing to. And in my opinion, we definitely have people that are willing to shoot. So as a cutter, we just have to be willing to run for it. So again,
on exactly where that open window is. So far, calculations on point for Ring of Fire. Deep shot from Rhino, and one good blown coverage deserves another.
and honestly, like in that, like the thrower even hesitated on their throw. Like he could have thrown that a lot sooner because he was open a lot sooner than that. So anyone have anything on that? Thrown across the stack, anything like that?
One of the things with the pull play is that it looks like Ring is actually set up pretty well, like at the beginning to try to take away what they're trying to get going.
Right.
Like they have a guy who's trying to take that first under, and then they have the guy who actually was defending the person who ended up taking the flood. It's to the break side, it gets by them, and then they don't ever really recover like from the fact that they've got two on that person when you play it.
Yeah.
On exactly where that open window is. So far, calculations on point for Ring of Fire.
So that guy underneath him's just a little late reacting to
Shot
like the
from
cut he knows is
right
gonna
out
come.
now. What?
And the reason why I say it is because sometimes we'll run pull plays and other teams are gonna know what we wanna do, right? That doesn't mean that they're gonna be able to stop it. Like they get what they want out of this pull play, I think.
Right.
You know, a great opportunity, even though it's kind of tough out of the gate. So as a handler with the initiating throw, like definitely making sure you're sticking with that plan and not blowing up the play too early. Like we're gonna put people out there who are gonna be in a position to succeed. Like they're gonna be able to get open on that cut, and then we can run the play from there.
Right. It's trust in us. It's trust in what we've put in place. Even when we recognize the defense might be in a good position to take what we're about to do away. We shouldn't chalk it up. We should trust our strengths. We should trust our throwers. We should trust our cutters to do our job. That's the reason why they're out there in the first place. Until they shut it down on that play, then we need to keep doing what we're doing. So anyone else have anything about throwing across the stack, any misdirection, pull plays, things like that? Sweet, sweet. Well, I wanted to make it pretty short and sweet. Wasn't as short as I wanted, honestly. I wanted about 10 minutes shorter. But those are just some of the things that I think will help us attack the deep space. So hopefully we can transition that in. We'll obviously be uploading this video. Again, like I said before, this presentation, we will be putting out ulti plays. And that's going to have not only our pull plays on it, but how we want our end zone to be run, how we want handler movement to predominantly be run, and things like that. So when that comes out, that's what we're going to be utilizing, and that's what we're going to be looking for at tryouts. And so we're going to be putting that out in our interest form for tryouts as well, so that people can kind of view that before they go out. But that's really all I had. If anyone has any final remarks, feel free to fire them away. Sweet, sweet, sweet. All right. I'm done. GG's.
Nice job, Isaiah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, y'all.
Have a good one.
You too.
Take care.
Thanks, Isaiah.
Mini Sunday morning.
Oh yeah, I'll be there.